everyone, and welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time here, then an extra special welcome to you. My name is Trish, and this is just my little corner of the internet where I share all of the things I've been working on, all of the crafts I've been um, doing since the last time we chatted. So I hope everyone is doing well. I hope you have a comfortable place where you're sitting with your crafting project and your favorite beverage. I, as usual, have a huge container of water, really trying to work on my water intake, and it also helps with voice quality. So let's see, what are we going to talk about today? A little bit of knitting, quite a bit of spinning. We have not talked about spinning on this channel in quite some time. And I have some acquisitions that have come in the mail since we last talked. One which just arrived uh, maybe like 10 minutes ago. So I will share those with you. Oh, and I have a new journaling project I'm about to start that relates to my crafting that I'm going to share with you. So I'll save the acquisitions for last, just in case that's not something you're interested in. And let's get started with the knitting that I've been doing since we last talked. So all of the projects I talked about 2 weeks ago, for the most part, I have not worked on any of them. I cast on a new project and I picked up an older project, a blanket that I'm going to share with you. And before I do that, let me tell you what I'm wearing. This is the Sophie scarf. This is a pattern by Petite Knits, and I'm pretty sure you've seen it and heard of it. This is my version. I think I have knit about 3 of these scarves. They are very addictive and quite fun and quick, and they're so cute. The yarn that I use to knit this one, I believe it is by the Plucky Knitter, and it's one of their DK bases, and the color is escaping me. I'm going to put a link to my project page in the show notes. But I definitely know the color. The yarn is from Plucky Knitter, and I think it has a bit of yak in it, and maybe some silk. It's really, really nice, and that little bit of silk gives it really nice drape. So I decided to put that on today so that I could have something knitting related to wear, and it kind of sort of matched my t-shirt, which says today is, or it says it's a beautiful day for knitting, which is what my t-shirt says. So okay, so let's get to talking about the new project I cast on. I cast on a new pair of socks, and I've been wanting to knit these for quite some time. The pattern is by Andrea Mowry, and it is her DRK Everyday Socks. And this is the progress I've made thus far. I'm going to open this up for you because it doesn't look like a sock at all. It's just the ribbing really has this pulled in. So I'm going to open it up so you can see the progress I've made thus far. This is the first sock that I cast on, and this is sock number 2. So I'm knitting these on magic loop in tandem, not on the same needle, but just together. I started these, if I'm not mistaken, so today is Thursday, April the 24th, and I believe I started these on Monday. So Monday night, I cast these on, and I just really, really got into the groove of this ribbing. And before I knew it, I had almost a half a sock done. So I think it's almost time for me to do the heel on this sock. So that's why I decided to stop and cast on sock number 2, because the pattern calls for you to do a heel that is new to me. I think this is the way it should go on a blocker, which is the Fleagle heel. So I've never done a Fleagle heel before, and I'm really, really excited to try it. But I decided I would wait until I had the same amount done on sock number 2. So there's a better shot of what the sock looks like on a blocker. Yes, so again, the pattern calls for a fleagle heel. This pattern also calls for, as you could tell by now, a toe up construction. Hold on, let me. So there's my toe. And this doing this toe up really took me back to when I first started sock knitting because I would always knit my socks toe up. I had a book by Wendy Johnson, and I believe, I can't remember the name of the book, but it was completely dedicated to toe up socks. And I don't know how I ended up getting away from that, but doing this Turkish cast on for the toe up sock was just so much fun. So much fun. I'm just really enjoying this project. And that is partly because, sorry, I had to take a break. Cash was scratching his claws on the rug. So, what was I saying? So, I'm enjoying this so much, mostly because of the yarn that I'm using. So, this yarn is from Knit Circus, and I picked this up last year. This was one of the sock skeins for Sock Week, which is a sock knit along hosted by Natalie of the Nitty Natty podcast. And I've been just holding on to this yarn ever since then. I think it's almost been a year, and it's probably almost time for another sock week. Hopefully, she's doing it again this year. But look at this beautiful yarn. So pretty. Again, this is by Knit Circus, and it is a gradient. And this is the way they come, two skeins, ready to knit up. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how it knits up as the colors change. So the DRK Everyday Sock calls for you to knit a full length sock. So I'm going to try my best to knit as much of this skein as possible because I really want to get into that beautiful copper color. So hopefully they won't end up knitting too long. So we'll see. I may even have to break some of the colors to make sure I get that color right there. So I'm knitting these on a US 1 as usual. And what else can I say about these? I think that's pretty much it. Like I said, really enjoying these so much. Hopefully I can get at least one of the heels at least started this weekend. Like I said, today is Tuesday. I'm sorry, today is Thursday, and tomorrow I actually took a day off, a vacation day. So looking forward to getting in quite a bit of knitting tomorrow. So let's talk about the other project I've been working on quite a bit in the past couple of weeks. It is my knitted patchwork recipe blanket. I was hesitating because every time I show this blanket, I call it the Cozy Memories blanket. There is a pattern just like this called a Cozy Memories blanket, but I am following the instructions for the knitted patchwork recipe. So just wanted to clarify that. And I'm going to have to stand up so you can see this a little bit better. I can already tell by looking at this that I have added quite a few blocks on this since the last time we talked. Quite a few. Here we go. So I have not decided how big I want this blanket to be. Right now, it's a good size to just, I could stop right now, but honestly, I think I want this to be I don't, maybe a twin size or maybe a large throw size. So I'll have to look up some measurements for blankets to see where I am. I know a lot of times when you knit a blanket like this and you can make it as big or as small as you want, oftentimes when you stop is dictated by how tired you are of working with the pattern. But I have not tired of this as of recently. I've really been enjoying adding on squares to this blanket. There's just something, I think what it is like I mentioned on the last episode, I don't have the brain space for really complicated projects because there's just so much going on in life. And so I just really appreciate those really simple projects you can like sink your teeth into and um, just the repetitiveness of a pattern that you don't have to keep looking at the directions for. So it's just so nice to have projects like this that are really simple to do, but that have a huge impact. I mean, look how beautiful that is. And if you're wondering, this is a square here that takes up quite a bit of space. It's actually the equivalent of four smaller squares. And I think I would like to do another one of those, but I got to look through my notes or maybe some project page notes to see how to actually do that because I've been working on this for several years now. And it's been at least a couple of years since I added that big square. So I need to figure out how to do that. And I will probably use a leftover of a self-striping yarn, just like I did with that one. So right now I'm just working on making the blanket wider. Let me see, where am I in that process? So I've got quite a bit of ends to weave in. This is the row that I'm working on now. And as I mentioned to you, I don't know whether I mentioned this. Did I mention this? No, I probably did not mention it to you. I'm really working on trying to get sets of four squares to coordinate. And I got this idea from my dear friend Stacy, who is also knitting a patchwork blanket in crochet. I can't remember the name of it. If she can get me the name of it, I'm going to put it right here. Her blanket is absolutely beautiful, and she is extremely meticulous in how she chooses colors for blocks of four. So as you can see here, this is a pretty nice match. And there's another set of four that coordinate pretty well. This one, not so much. And this one here, I think looks pretty good. So that's been really nice to be able to dig into my minis and into my scraps from projects and to add them to the blanket. I really like being able to look back at certain squares and remembering what I did with the yarn. Like this beautiful color here is a color from Miss Babs, and it was a color that was dyed exclusively for one of my local yarn stores, which happens to be Fiber Space in Alexandria, Virginia. So it's nice to be able to look back on that on the blanket and to remember where I got that yarn from. And I think that may have been last year's local yarn store colorway. Um, or maybe it wasn't local yarn store day. Maybe it was just the Miss Babs pop-up. But in any event, it was dyed exclusively for Fiber Space. So it's nice being able to look back on that memory. And the rest of this I think I've put two of these blocks in the blanket. I made a pair of socks with it, and then the rest of it I gave to my friend Stacy so she can put it in her blanket, which I think is even more special because you get to share your yarn with a friend, which is always nice. Let's see, what else can I say about this? I'm using a US 1 to knit these squares, and you join as you go. And it's just the most lovely, meditative, enjoyable project. I'm just so happy and grateful to have it because it means that even though I have a lot going on just personally, with physical issues and ailments and, family stuff and caregiving and all that, then I still get to enjoy my craft and put some meaningful progress into some projects. So very, very happy about that. So let's move on into spinning. So let's start with a spinning project that I have been working on for way too long. I'm going to pull out my Lazy Kate here from Ashford. So this project that I'm working on, the yarn is from Hello Yarn, and the colorway is Enchilada Nights. And I just love the name, and I can definitely see why she named it that. As I look at it, I'm getting different colors of peppers. Um, I definitely see the color of poblano peppers, and I see the black here, which reminds me of the char you get when you roast the peppers. And it's just such a fun color. And then there are other colors that play on those deep reds and purples, like this really pale lavender here. And there's also quite a bit of almost cream color that you can see in there. So I was able to spin up all 100 grams of the fiber. Like I said, I started this about a year ago, lost steam on it, and picked up steam on it about 3 weeks ago. So I finished up the braid, and last night I started plying. And this is what I have thus far on my bobbin. I wasn't able to fit any more of the yarn onto the bobbin, and that is because, as you can see, this bobbin is so full and fat, but it's not wound very tightly around the bobbin. There's, like you can see when I squeeze this, how loosely this is wound onto the bobbin. And I'm not quite sure why that happened, but the yarn definitely looks like yarn. My plan when I first um, started this project was to do my very first intentional fractal spin. And because I started this so long ago, I'm not quite sure if this is a fractal spin or not. I think it is to a certain degree. If you're not familiar with spinning and spinning terms, a fractal spin is basically a method for where you take your fiber and you are separating it. You're separating it out in fractions, hence the name fractal spin. And then, so typically you'll take one half of the braid and you'll divide that up into however many sections you want to. And then you'll take the other half of the braid and you'll usually divide that into a different number sections than you did the initial braid. And that tends to give you quite a bit of variation in your skein. That's how you end up with lots of this barber poling that you can see here in this skein. So this is definitely a fractal spin. I just wish I was a little bit more intentional about it. And that's only because I started it so early and then um, just lost steam on it. So I can't remember exactly what I did for the first part of the braid. But I'm really enjoying getting back into my spinning. It's just so enjoyable, and it's just another very simple. Once you learn how to spin, it is also one of those really simple meditative projects you can do to really help with your stress level. So, as I mentioned, this is from Hello Yarn, and this is a 100% Rambouillet wool top. And this is my first time spinning Rambouillet, I'm pretty sure. And I need to pull out my Knitter's Book of Wool, I believe that's the name of it, so that I can learn more about this fiber. What I can say is that it is extremely soft. It is very bouncy. And I don't know whether that's why it wound around the bobbin the way it did. I think that's more user error than anything. But I'm going to pull out my book. I'm going to do some research on Rambouillet wool. And then when I come back to you on the next episode, we'll talk a little bit about this breed of sheep and what makes it, um, its unique properties and what makes it what it is. So again, this is the start of the ply on this. It is a 2-ply, and then I will be, I'm so undecided. I don't know whether I want to chain ply the remainder or just continue with a two ply. I will probably just do another skein of 2-ply, and if I have any left, like you can see, there's much more fiber on here. Then I will just chain ply what is left on here, which will give me maybe enough to do a little mug rug or cup cozy or something. So maybe the edging of some mittens or the trim of a hat. So we'll see. But so happy to be back on my spinning wheel again. It feels really, really, really good. So the other spinning project that I started is this here. So this is 50 grams of this beautiful fiber here. I'm going to hold the yarn up along with the braid. So this is my other 50 grams that I need to spin. And this yarn was prepped and dyed by Akara yarns. And this composition of this yarn is Polworth Llama and Tussa Silk. Ooh, sorry about that. I had to take a break for a sneezing spell. Spring has sprung here in the DMV. If this is your first time here, I live in the Washington, D.C. area in the state of Maryland. And the pollen count is extremely high. As a matter of fact, we have an air quality warning today. So, yes, allergies are definitely in full effect. So, as I was saying, I'm hesitating because I really thought that this was only 50 grams. I'm going to have to put this on the scale. I'm certain this is only 50 grams, even though the packaging says 100 grams. And I'm pretty sure I bought these individually. So maybe that's just a typo on the label, but we're going to go with 50 grams of this. Yes, this doesn't feel like 100 grams. You can even tell. So, so this is 50 grams. I'm going to spin the other 50 grams, and I cannot wait to see what this looks like. To spin this, I believe I just opened this up and I divided it into about 4 different sections. And I think I'm going to do the same thing with this braid. I'm not sure whether it would even be worth the while to try to do this as a fractal spin because you just don't have those long shifts and color changes like usual. So I'm just going to divide this up exactly how I divided up this. And then we will get these plied together. And this, it's going to be so beautiful. I can already tell that this is going to be a beautiful skein. So that's spinning project number 2. And that's it for the spinning. Moving right along here, let's talk about my new journaling project I want to start. So I have always wanted to have a maker's journal, basically a place to document all of the things I'm working on, be it crochet, knitting, spinning, sewing, embroidery, or whatever. So what I did is I purchased a planner from the Happy Planner, and here it is. This is the classic size, and as you can see, it just says plans right there. And what I love about this is that it is an undated planner. So if I have a month where not much gets finished or nothing I particularly want to document, then I can just move on to the next section and put in whatever month that is. So it has a monthly calendar, and it also has a space for. I love this little page here, and I wish there were more of them. But at the end of each month, it's this priorities page and take notes page. So this is where I can either like put pictures in these boxes and then um, put my notes about the projects in this little section here. Or I can even, since I'm not keeping a monthly calendar per se of my making, I can even put pictures here on the calendar page. I also have some note paper. You can see it's already pre-cut for the classic size. So this is just some basic lined paper. So if I need more space to take notes, I can do that. And then I also have this extension pack. This is from the Happy Planner also. And there's a beautiful dashboard in here. There's some stickers as well as some other note paper, some sticky notes. So I think with the planner, with this extension pack and the note paper, I have everything I need to get started. And then what I did this morning is I took some pictures of some recent projects that I've made, and I just put them in a collage. And then now I can just cut these out and paste them wherever I want to paste them in my journal. So I'm just so excited about getting started with this. I have so many other projects I want to put in this journal. So I will just take my time though. Um, and you can see there, these are some photos that I took of my projects, and just there are my napkins I showed you on the last episode. So yes, definitely looking forward to this, and just um, another relaxing, meditative project and a way to hopefully keep me more in tune to the things that I'm making. So then before I close, let's move on into a few things that have come in the mail since we last chatted. This thing here didn't actually come in the mail. I sent my friend Stacy on a on a shopping trip. She's like me. She's always up to a shopping challenge. So I heard about these on Instagram. Apparently Trader Joe's does these little spring color bags every year. I didn't know about that. And I watched a girl's video on YouTube, and she was talking about how she uses these bags to house all of her planning and journaling supplies for the month, which I think is just an excellent idea. But I think I'm going to use mine for knitting project bags. So I have it in pink, this beautiful purple, lavender purple, it's baby blue, and my favorite, which is this green. These are only $2.99 at Trader Joe's, and hopefully they still have some. So pick yourself up some. It's a very inexpensive, fun treat for yourself. So the last time we talked about acquisitions and acquiring more yarn, I mentioned that I'm really working hard not to buy yarn unless it is a really good deal or it is for a particular project. Well, I found some really good deals and I just couldn't pass them up. So let me show you what I got. So the first thing are this bundle of yarn here. I picked this up from the fiber company. It is 10 skeins total, and they are calling this yarn an Oops Blend #1 yarn for felting. It's 500 grams total, and the color is Shucksberry. And again, I got this from uh, thefibercompany.com. So the reason this is a oops blend is because it is a DK weight yarn made from merino wool, baby alpaca, silk noel, and cotton. The cotton in the blend was not intended to be added, hence the oops. And it also says that they really recommend that you use this yarn for a felting project because if you, well, it says the blend number 1 should only be used for felted projects as the undyed cotton will otherwise appear as an imperfection on the surface of the fabric. Whereas if you felt with it, the cotton will embed into the fabric and add to the beauty of the final felted piece. So I'm going to give you a close-up of what the yarn looks like. So as you can see, those white little pieces in there are the undyed cotton. This yarn is the exact composition of the fiber company Acadia yarn, except this accidentally had cotton added to it. But I'm still thinking that I would probably rather knit this into a garment like a sweater, because to me the little bits of cotton almost remind me of tweed. So maybe I need to do a swatch. You guys know how I hate swatching, but I might have to do that for this project for this yarn, just to see how it will respond to knitting, and maybe wash the swatch, dry the swatch, and just see how that cotton responds to that. But they did send along with the yarn about 5 different projects you could use the yarn for in a felting project. But I'm still thinking I'd much rather knit with this and turn it into a sweater. This was an amazing deal, $35 for all 10 skeins. So this is the Shucksberry color. And I got the same blend in this color, which is Real Teal. And that's what this looks like. So that's from the fiber company, and I just checked before I recorded, and they still have the Shucksberry color available. So if that interests you, you may want to head on over there and jump on that deal. Next up, about 2 weeks ago, the Plucky Knitter had an amazing sale. It was like the more you buy, the more you save, up to 50% off. So I opted for the 50% off, the 50% off deal, because I found some colors that I really, really love. So the first thing is some Primo fingering, and the color is the color is Solstice. How beautiful is that? So 4 of these, 440 yards, that's a little bit over 1,700 yards of a fingering weight. So it's merino and cashmere and nylon, I believe. Let me double check. Yep, merino, cashmere, nylon. And I've knit with Primo fingering before, and it is absolutely delicious. Next up, I got some of their plume base, and the color is Monogram. How beautiful is that? How's that going to work with all this gray hair? I think it'll work. So, so pretty. And the reason I chose this is because I already have Primo fingering in Monogram in a sweater quantity. So I will be holding these together probably for another Lenta sweater. Maybe a cardigan. We'll see. And then finally, I picked up 7 of these. I'm going to open this up and hope it's not too distracting. This noise is not too annoying, because I want you to be able to see the beauty of this. Okay, so this is the Legacy Bulky base. It's 125 yards, and so 7 25. Huh. So at least 700, a little over 800 yards, I think. Yep, a little over 800 yards is what I got of this. I took all that they had. Like I said, 7 skeins. The color is attache. And this is 100% non-superwash Shaniko or just Shaniko wool. So I will be knitting a Nordic bloom vest with that yarn. That is a pattern by Caitlin Hunter. And that pattern appears in the Nordic Knits book. I already have the book. I just need to make a cup of tea or coffee and just sit down and read over the pattern. That pattern, it calls for bulky yarn, and there is quite a bit of color work in the vest. And I was thinking, how nice would it be to use hand spun for the color work portion? And I think I would probably need at least 200 grams of fiber to do that. So I'm going to look and see what I have available. I know I have some, I showed you the um, spin cycle on the last episode, but I don't think I have enough of the worsted weight to do that. So maybe when I go to Sheep and Wool, I will be shopping to find a colorway to go with this beautiful attache. And I hope the color is showing up well on here. It's like a really deep burgundy, almost leaning brown. So I just had a thought that maybe this would work, but again, I'm not sure if I will have enough yardage. And I'm also thinking that this may be a bit too dark. Even though some of the colors in the skein are quite light, it could possibly work. Let's just see how much I have when I'm done with this and if it'll work for this project. Because I also have to see what the weight of this yarn is that I'm spinning. So I think that's all I have to share with you today. We talked about knitting projects, my journaling project, acquisitions, and spinning. Yep, I got it all in. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you are not subscribed, consider subscribing and all of the things. I hope to see you at Yarn Centric and or Maryland Sheep and Wool. So looking forward to that next weekend. If you see me, please come up and say hello. Let's take a picture together. I'm going to try very hard to have a small journal with me so that I can try to remember names and maybe what you were wearing, and that kind of helps with my memory because I definitely will be vlogging the weekend. Ray will be with me, so we'll do our usual Maryland Sheep and Wool vlog, and we're really, really looking forward to it. So until next time, have so much fun with your making. Stay well, and I'll see you again in the next episode. Bye-bye.